Listen to this.
Mama who bore me, Mama who gave me, Mama the angels who made me so sad. Mama who bore me, Mama who gave me no way to handle things, who made me so sad. Mama the weeping, Mama the angels, no sleep in heaven or Bethlehem.
So this is Spring Awakening, and this is my favourite show ever. I couldn't get hold of the footage, but that is the audio from when me and my friends did Spring Awakening at university. In multiple times throughout my life, it has been the biggest inspiration for me in terms of music and the reason I love music and storytelling. And today I'm going to talk to you about why and how, and I'm going to fill you in on my journey with this show and why it means quite so much to me, to the point where I would say it has changed my life twice. So Spring Awakening first came out on Broadway in 2006. It was a hit over there. It won like loads of Tony Awards, and basically it's a musical, but not the musical you think. It launched the careers of so many musical theatre and TV people, including Lea Michele of like Rachel from Glee, Skylar Aston, Pitch Perfect, Jonathan Groff, who's now Hamilton, and Frozen, of course. And actually in the UK, Iwan Rheon, who played Moritz, was Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones. And the basic premise, it's a little bit of a hard sell on paper. So it's set in 1891, I think, in the turn of the century Germany, and features a bunch of teenagers basically discovering their sexuality in extremely conservative and extremely strict times. The songs in Spring Awakening are their release from the day-to-day world, from the tedium, from the strictness. It's them dreaming, it's them, wet dreaming. It's fantasizing about their sexual desires, but also their desires to be free and to just be who they want to be. It's extremely relatable, and the music is just absolutely incredible. The first songs you should listen to, the Mama Who Bore Me reprise, My Junk, which is all about wanking. It's great. And Touch Me, which is just the most romantic song I've ever heard in my life. Beautiful song about sensuality. And then, probably Totally F***ed and The Bitch of Living as well. In the description, I'll link the soundtrack so you can go listen to it, because honestly, if it's my mission in life to tell more people about Spring Awakening, I will do it. I will gladly take that on. Musicals have been a part of my life since I was young, and actually something like this that is so deep and beautiful and artistic does not get talked about enough. I think the initial impact of the show was one of shock. It explores a lot of the dark sides of our society, and it approaches topics of domestic abuse, child abuse, sexual assault, suicide. And then on top of all that, it actually has a live sex scene. Well, it's not, that makes it sound like a beef show or something. No, there is acted, obviously, a scene where two people have sex in the middle of the stage. So back in 2006, this had quite a big impact, and I think in American audiences, maybe they were a little bit more ready to receive it. But over here, as soon as it got to the West End, it didn't really do very well, and I think a lot of British people maybe thought it was a step too far. It goes to the max when it comes to representing darkness within art, but also absolute purity and beauty as well. Recently, I went to see a brand new production of it in the Almeida Theatre in London, and it just reawakened my love of this show again. And I just thought to myself, looking back over the years, how much of an impact this show has had on me in so many different parts of my life. And I thought I need to share my story with this musical because it is just so important to me. And I can say with all honesty, it has changed my life twice. So I discovered the music when I was, 15. It was through my musical director for my choir, Sandy. Hi, if you're there. She brought this song to us that she thought we'd like. This song is called My Junk. I don't think we ever actually performed it, which is probably a good idea in retrospect. But we started learning this song and we just thought, wow, this is just so beautiful. And me and my friends just got completely obsessed with the entire soundtrack. And then we saw that it was actually coming to the Lyric Theatre in Hammersmith in 2009, which is 13 years ago now. And my friend Kirsty bought me a ticket for my birthday. And we were absolutely blown away by just how inspiring and deep and incredible the performance was, but from a musical perspective, it just makes you feel so much. It's the height of exuberance and joy and unabashed love, all about celebrating who you are in spite of societal norms and expectations. There are two characters who are LGBT. They're two guys who kiss towards the end of the show. At that point, like, this was before Glee, just before Glee actually, and hadn't really seen homosexuality or same-sex romance portrayed in media. So to see this show that was so emotionally heavy and intense and moving, and then for it to climax with two guys kissing on stage in front of me, was, as you can imagine, extremely formative and made me feel extremely seen. So I came up to my friends that year. So it was very much the timing. Not only was it life-changing in terms of helping me to come out, but also in terms of music. So up to this point, I'd been in a few shows and I'd done a little bit of singing with choir and stuff like that. But until I heard the Spring Awakening soundtrack, I don't think I realised how much music could move me, and how the story of these people, supported by the musical storytelling, could create such a visceral reaction in me, such a burning passion that stays with me. And actually, it's still inspires me to this day. I still listen to that soundtrack and think, God, I wish I could write something like that. Somewhere subconsciously, I think I'm always trying to live up to that feeling. I'm trying to recreate that feeling in my own music. To listen to a song like Touch Me, which is this wave that starts off like really quiet and really smooth and timid, and gradually throughout the song, it kind of sways and it gets bigger slowly until it's cresting that wave, and then it kind of goes down, and then it builds up into this huge expression of beauty. The lyrics are all about the kind of miracle of sex and being intimate with somebody, and sensuality and love, and how those things can create such incredible emotions within you. I've never heard a song in my life that so accurately recreates that feeling. The composition of it, like on the surface, simulates an orgasm that I think in lesser hands could be considered cheesy, but in this composition, it's the most beautiful representation of intimacy that I've ever heard committed to music. There's something in me that still needs to make something like that. So it really is like a real central part of my musical upbringing and my discovery of my passion for music. This was where it was born. I listened to music to be moved. Yeah, shit. On to life-changing moment number 2. It must have been in 2010, and a local theatre production were auditioning to put on a version of Spring Awakening. I got offered the role of Ernst. He's not explicitly described as gay because actually, like, they don't put any labels on it, but he's one of the two characters who have the same-sex kiss at the end of the show. But at that age, obviously, like, I don't think I'd actually properly come out, especially like since this would include my family who would come and see this. So I turned it down because I just wasn't ready to do that. I wasn't ready to have my first kiss be in the rehearsal room. And I was devastated because obviously this was my favourite show, and it like came round and I was like, this is my chance to actually be in it. And I just thought maybe this is the only chance that I'm ever going to get to do this show. Turns out that there wasn't the only chance. Fast forward a couple of years and I actually went to university. One of my friends on my course said to me, oh my God, have you seen that they're doing Spring Awakening? The auditions are in a couple of weeks. Are you going to do it? And I was like, I remember exactly where I was when I got that text from my friend Rhiannon. I was sat on the end of the sofa in my parents' house. I can't believe I've actually got a chance, another chance. It was difficult for me to get my hopes up, considered what had happened the previous time. I auditioned, and I auditioned with the song Left Behind from the show, showing off that I was a fan of the show by picking a deep cut. I auditioned in front of the wonderful Glenn and Katie, who then, spoilers, became good friends of mine. And I got offered a role. But surprise, surprise, it was the role of Ernst again. And although I had come out to my parents, at this point I still hadn't kissed anyone. Now if I was offered a role where I get to kiss a girl on stage, I'd be like, yeah, sign me up. Again, I just couldn't do it. And so I turned it down again. And I don't think anyone could ever understand the disappointment. I was so upset. But there's another twist to the tale. The day after, I get a text from Glenn saying, hey, we'd like to offer you the part of Georg. He's the one who's obsessed with his piano teacher because she has really big tits. So, you know, a bit of a stretch for me. Yeah, he offered me this other part and I was like, yes, a million times, yes. And actually, I soon discovered that actually vocally, it was a really, really good part. Like, Georg gets to do some of the best bits in the show. Maybe cut to a little video of me doing the solo from Touch Me. I tried that solo in the shower the other day and I can still sing it. You know, my favourite song on the album, on the track, and I get to do the big solo at the end. Like, oh my God, I was living. And I had, honestly, the time of my life doing this show. I still remember where I was when I got the text saying, you know, offering me the other part. These moments were so, like, important to me at the time, and I can still remember exactly where I was. That's how big an impact this show has made to me in different times in my life. I do the show, and I have the absolute time of my life. Like, I meet some incredible friends. We get so close, and I get to go in and sing and experience and be part of these songs and act out this show that has meant so much to me. Still is a complete highlight in terms of my performance as a live singer. Doing this show, again, my personal life and in my music life changed things for me. Let's go with music first. So I'd gone to university to study mathematics, if you can believe it. And no, I kind of thought, you know, if I come out of university and I still want to do music, then at least I have a really academic degree that's going to back me up if that doesn't work out. It's working out, by the way, just saying. But then doing this show, I think it just reignited that fire in me. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done. Like, this is the highest I've ever felt in my life. Performing on stage with my friends, like doing this show that was just so inspiring to me, was like, you couldn't top it. And it was the highlight of my university experience and just reminded me of my passion for music and my need to make it my life's work. Soon after, I kind of decided, okay, I'm not going to pursue musical theatre. I went to audition for Hairspray and told I was too feminine to play Link, even though I could sing rings around the role, they said. Things are changing in musical theatre, thankfully, but at the time I was like, I can't go through that. So I was like, I want to pursue music that is me being myself on stage. So that's why I've kind of gone into being my own artist, you know, and being a music producer. Doing this show just reminded me like that I needed to do music as my career. And now I've moved up to London to pursue songwriting, and I'm doing this as a YouTube, like as my YouTube channel and finding success. You know, I could have gone down a very different path after university. I could have followed the money, but I didn't. And I think a large part of that is down to this show and how at this crucial moment in my life, it reminded me how important music was to me. Now, personal life. This is where there was a bit of drama. I met somebody through this show and I fell head over heels for him. I'd still to this day, I'm not sure how much of it was him and how much of it was all wrapped up in the show and how important the show was to me. The twist is that he was straight. I was very much in this kind of fantasy world where I let myself believe that it could happen, and the reality of the situation dawned on me, and I went through a very dark stage in my life. You know, I didn't have much self-confidence or self-belief in terms of my own like outlook on life. I think subconsciously I believed that because I was gay, I wouldn't be able to find love, really, or that I wasn't worthy of love, of real love. You know, I'm required to love. And it took me a long time to actually really work through that. But this was the starting point. You know, I went through like a period of heavy depression, wrote my first, oh yeah, I forgot about this. And wrote my first ever song about this guy. Yeah, shit. Like, you know, it all ties together. It all comes down to this show once again, and how inspiring it is and how incredibly moving it is, and how all my emotions wrapped up in it really were like at such a level that they have made their mark on my life. And still to this day, I listen to the soundtrack and I still find it so hauntingly beautiful, just as incredible as I did when I first heard it. And so it brings me to like the present day, where they've revived the show because it's that old, off West End, and there are rumours that it's going to be on the West End soon. Fingers crossed. I'm now rediscovering this show once again, and now it's inspired me to make this video. So maybe if this video does well, the next one can be like the show that changed my life 3 times. I think overall what this show has shown me over the years is that music is the thing that makes me get out of bed. Even when I'm playing video games, I'm listening to the music, and my favourite video games are the ones with the best soundtracks. It's the music in movies that moves me. It's musicals, it's pop music. It is my greatest passion, and I think this was the music that first inspired me and is the reason I'm here today. Like, it's such an important part of my musical journey. I just had to share it with you, so here you go. Yes, so I implore you to listen to this soundtrack and listen to it properly, really take it in, see how you see yourself reflected in the soundtrack. Listen to the soundtrack immediately. Now, go, do it. Well, make sure to like and subscribe before you go. But yeah, do that first, and then go listen to the soundtrack. And if there is a performance of it, do it. It might change your life too.